Call this meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That upon the recommendation of the superintendent, Sarah Smith be appointed on probation as a registered professional nurse effective April 26, 2023, and ending December 27, 2023. Salary is based upon CSEA contract level 8, step 6.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? Motion carried.
That upon the recommendation of the superintendent. the
Wait, let me do my presentation first. We're kind of a little messed up here.
Oh, sorry.
Okay?
Sorry.
I'm forcing everybody. So good evening and welcome to the budget adoption presentation. So we have some issues on our agenda. We're going to talk about the New York State's delayed budget, our proposed expenditures, some revenue scenarios, Eden's tax rate history, potential tax increases, reserves, decisions to be made, and the remaining budget calendar. Where we left off last time was April 1st was supposed to be the New York State adoption of their budget. Their budget was not passed. And because their budget wasn't passed, it creates some issues for New York State. Number one being it cannot pay its bills without a budget or a budget extender. So yesterday, on April 10th, New York State passed a week-long budget extender so that they could pay their employees and their bills. The only ones who are not being paid at this point are the legislatures and the senators in Albany. They can receive money for their travel to and from Albany, but they will not receive a paycheck because they don't have a budget in place. So on April 17th, next week, they have to pass either another budget extender or adopt the budget. So right now, the big question for us is, when are they going to adopt their budget? We're going to go into a little more detail about history next. So what was the history of their budget adoption? Well, in 2000, they were 35 days late. In 2001, they were 125 days late. 2002, they were 46 days late. 2003, 45 days late. 2004, they were 133 days late. And you start to think of, well, how did schools manage? Well, because we adopted budgets based on remembering that a budget is your plan and not everything is exact. So if revenues went up or down from the state, you manage your expenditures and your revenues accordingly. So then things kind of leveled up, went down to 100. In 2010, they were 125 days late, and then they've been pretty good. And then last year, they were 9 days late. This year, they're 11 days late. So you can see it's been handled in the past. It will be handled this year, but it does make your job a little more difficult. So what is the impact on our budget? The fact that the state budget's been delayed. We still are required to present to New York State our budget by April 24th. And we still have to get our printing and items out, I believe, by April 17th for ballots and such. Is that correct, Jeff?
Yeah, actually, part 1 and 22 of the Education Commissioners Regulation required districts to finalize all items to be included on the May 16th ballot by April 18th. So that includes propositions, referenda, and board candidates in order to meet the deadline for military ballots.
So what that means is there's some decisions that have to be made because there are no extensions for our budget. So what do we know? Right now, we know under the governor's proposal, 39% of our proposed expenditures were covered by state aid. And Jeff, I think you wanted to talk about some of the things that you know about the actual revenues that we expect from New York State.
So we have a pretty good idea of what we expect in terms of revenues, and Mrs. Feldman's gone over that in previous presentations. You know, our overall increase of foundation aid and expense aid was about 1.2 million. And that's generally where we expect to end up. However, final aid numbers, which are included in a past budget, are based off of the most up-to-date information. So we do expect that there'll still be some fluctuation in that. The latest fluctuation, we were down about $16,000 or so. So not a major issue for us at all. But let's not forget too, that there are other issues that are important for the district and all districts that were being discussed that are now have been kind of pushed to the side. And some of those include the proposed increase in capital outlay projects from 100,000 to 250,000. The gradual increase in aid for BOCES related costs, as well as some other items that most likely will not be included in the final budget. And before I move on, just so everyone's aware, the real issue holding up the budget is they're debating over bail reform and what they feel needs to be done there or not done.
So again, our approved budget must be submitted to SCD by April 24th. So we're going to look at what are our proposed expenditures. We're going to look at our major categories. This is really a high level. We're not going to be talking detail. But the one thing I want to point out is this budget was based on need. So you can see a 1%, a 2%, or 2.25% levy increase. The expenditures are identical. So our general support last year was $4,097,168. We're proposing bringing that to $4,376,297. Instructional, that's where our programs for our students are, is $18,089,880 up to $19,264,948. Pupil transportation is going from $1,937,398. Our need is $2,218,826. Employee benefits, debt service, civic activities, and interfund transfers are all kind of lumped together. And that's $9,712,037 up to $10,549,892. So our total expenditures, we're looking to ask the voters to authorize, if you adopt this budget, would be $33,836,483 from last year, increased this year to $36,409,963. Any questions so far? So our revenue scenarios, we're going to look at and we're going to talk about the revenue scenarios. The only changes you're going to see for scenarios 1, 2, and 3 are going to be in the property school tax line and in the appropriated fund balance. So last year, the levy was $15,460,541. If it's a 1% budget, it goes to $15,615,461. A 2% increase is $15,769,751. A 2.25 increase would bring it to $15,808,402. Our state aid last year was $13,266,314. Per the governor's runs, which we feel are the number we're going to be using, are going to be the same regardless of what scenario you pick for the levy. So that's $14,525,672. Our federal aid, that's going to stay static at $75,000, same as last year. Our miscellaneous, which includes sales tax, that's going from $2,098,138 down to $2,028,139 in all scenarios. Interfund transfers are going to stay static at $29,452. And our reserves would stay static at $843,370. The difference would be in the appropriated fund balance. The terminology appropriated fund balance is simply, it is your fund balance, your excess money that you have that you're pledging to reduce taxes. That is why that is the area that changes. So last year we had $2,063,668. A 1% levy increase would require $3,292,869 to afford the expenditures that we developed. So a 2% levy increase would require less money, a $3,138,579 appropriated fund balance. And a 2.25 levy increase would be $3,099,928, all to give us revenues that would match $36,409,963. Any questions? So as you can see, all those scenarios mean that our revenues would match our expenditures and we would have a balanced budget, which is our requirement. So over the last 10 years, what has our tax rate history been? For every $1,000 of true value in 2013-14, it was $19.08. You see it bumps up and down as years go on. And in 22-23, because of the true value, it's at $14.75 per thousand for the district. That's taking into effect if everything were identical in all the towns. Which of course, we know they're not, but that's the way we have to work on it because that's what equalization rates do. They change the rates, but so that everybody is contributing the same amount. So, and 1% levy increase, the increase per every $100,000 of assessed value would be $15. That would generate $154,605. 2% would raise $29 for every 100,000 of assessed value and would generate $309,210. 2.25% would generate would cost $33 for every 100,000 of assessed value and would generate $347,861. 7.5%, which is the maximum allowable levy limit, which I do not recommend, is $110 per 100,000, would generate $1,158,158. The proposal on the prior slide of revenue did not include this because we are not recommending in these economic times with inflation, raising taxes that high. We are recommending somewhere between 1 and 2.25%. All of these though, even to raise 7.5%, only require voter authorization of a simple majority, which is 50% plus 1. The tax cap only says how much voter authorization is required. Any questions on that one? So if we close the gap, we were going to use the reserves. We were going to use them at the static amount. These are the reserves that are available for closing budget gaps. These are the same as we talk in the other. So at the end of the year, at the end of 22-23, workers' comp will have a balance of $336,796. The workers' comp projected balance at the end of 23-24 would be $222,004. Unemployment would go from $142,274 to $116,066. The ERS retirement contribution, that's contribution towards the mandatory retirement costs for support employees, would go from $1,945,181 down to $1,542,811. Our teacher retirement contribution, again mandated, $429,701 down to $129,701. Our liability, our tax tertiary, our employee benefit, and our repair reserves would stay the same as what you see here. We are not proposing using any of those. Tax tertiary is to pay for assessment appeals for prior taxes, and we have some of those on the record, but none that have closed. Repair reserve is the money that we've set aside for cogen repair and for turf field repair. If we were to have a boiler go down, we could use the money for those things. So we don't really want to tap into that to close budget gaps. So our subtotals of our reserves, the ones that we could use for budgetary implications, go from $5,194,830 down to $4,351,460 in the proposal that we have sent to you. So every year we have three propositions. Proposition 1 is to vote on the expenditures for the entire budget. Proposition number 2 is to use reserve funds to purchase buses and equipment for bus garage and buildings and grounds. So right now, the projected balance at the end of 22-23 is $2,069,673. Using the amount that is in the proposition, that will go down to $1,281,109. Capital technology, that would be proposition number 3 that you'll be voting, voters will be asked to vote on. And that will be if we can use the reserves to upgrade and continue our replacement program for our technology. That would bring it from $898,832 down to $465,832. Capital reserve for building can only be used when the voters are authorizing a capital project, which we did in December of 2020. I believe it was right around $3 million we utilized out of that reserve. So that would stay static at $988,116. So the reserves that require voter authorization would go from $3,956,621 down to $2,735,057, leaving our total reserves going from $9,151,451 down to $7,086,517. And I want to stop just reading numbers for a minute, and I want to explain something. When we have surpluses at the end of the year and we put them into the reserves, our rainy day funds, they are for periods when we need to help our taxpayers because they're in a high inflationary period or a recession. This is the time that I am recommending to this Board of Education that we look into using those to support the budget. So we have some decisions to make. Adopt a budget based on the information we have. No changes to expenditures, close gaps with fund balance and reserves. Or postpone the budget adoption, hope for an approved New York State budget in time to submit our budget to SED on April 24th.
And just so you're aware, if you postpone, we'll be reconvening on Monday to hear the same scenario with the hopes that we have an actual budget in place.
So our remaining schedule is April 24th. My budget is due to New York State. May 2nd at 7 p.m. at the Eden Elementary would be the budget hearing. And May 16th in the middle school, high school auditorium entrance from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. would be the budget vote. Any questions? Thank you for your time.
Okay. So we need to make a decision. Are we going to go out at the, is it 36 million? Yeah, $36,409,000. And then what percentage are we going to go out at a tax levy? I'm in agreement with Mrs. Feldman in regards to, using as much of the rainy day fund. Just listening to the news in regards to the state budget, there's been no talk of school. This is really all about the bail reform is why it's not passing. So I have pretty good feeling that, you know, the numbers they've pledged to us is probably going to be pretty darn close to what, you know, we've projected. So my opinion is, you know, we go out at 2%, just because this community thinks 2% is a 2% formula, but it really isn't. We could go out at 7.5%, but you know, for the difference in 42,000 or 32,000 or $42,000 difference between the 2.25 and the 2% tax rate, I think we go out at that. And I just want to commend, you know, the Mr. Sortisio and Mrs. Feldman and the whole admin team. You know, we're going out at a 7.6% increase of the budget. Consumer price index is over 8. But the other thing too is to kind of look into this. We're taking on debt service a year early, and we're saving ourselves a ton of money on the backside, you know, 15, 16 years from now by taking on the 900K there. So if you take that out of the 2.5 million that we've increased our total budget, we've really only gone up 1.6. And of that, most of that went to programming. You know, of that 7.6% increase, 6.4 of it's going to programming, and that's where it needs to be going. So, you know, I know we took a hard look at the health insurance and things along those lines. So I just think the 2% is a very reasonable, very fair ask of the community. And I just, like I said, I just want to commend the whole admin team for coming to this. You know, I think it's a very positive budget. Any other discussion?
I would just concur, you know, the whole idea of the budget in my mind is to be fair to the students, fair to the employees, fair to the taxpayer. And I think 2% is a terrific effort to do that, to be fair to all parties. I would agree that with inflation as high as it is, to come in below that number is well done. We've negotiated some contracts recently, and so kudos to all the employees and bargaining units that we can function and still be fair to the ultimately to the taxpayers. So.
Any other discussion?
That upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the 2023-2024 school budget in the amount of $36,409,463 be approved.
Second.
Any discussion?
I'm sorry, we have a typo. That should be 963, I believe.
It might be, I can't read it. Can you make this bigger?
No, you read it right. There's just a typo.
Oh, God,
My mistake.
So it's 36,409,963.
Correct.
And do we need to make a comment in regards to the 2% tax levy?
No, that's just how I'll present it, because you're approving the
total
budget
expenditure,
piece,
okay.
And then I will do my presentation that way.
All right, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? Motion carried.
Regular meeting and BOCES component vote date, Wednesday, April 19th, 2023 at 7 PM, Eden Elementary School Auditorium. Annual budget hearing, Tuesday, May 2nd, 2023, 7 PM, Eden Elementary School Auditorium. And the annual budget vote, Tuesday, May 16th, 2023, 9 AM to 9 PM at the Eden Middle School High School Auditorium foyer. That upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the meeting be adjourned at 7:26 PM.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks for coming.